Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob. Yes, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, where you know the drill by now. You send in your questions and we do our very best to answer them for you. Today, as ever, you have not disappointed. We've got two great questions that have come in. But before we have a listen to those, let's have a recap of how you can send in a question of your own. Yep, dead easy. All you need to do is give us a call, 013 808 0035. That's 013 808 0035. And you can leave us a voicemail there. Or alternatively, you can go over to thepropertyhub.net/ask and send us a message there instead. Okay, this question comes in from Ugo from Liverpool.
Hi, Rob. My name is Ugo. I am a doctor calling from Liverpool. I listen to your podcasts quite a lot, and I find it very, very informative. And I am in a process of wanting to start out in a career in property. I have a question which put me in a little bit of a pickle, really. I listened to your recent podcast with regards to whether it's better to buy or rent. And again, I found it quite informative. However, I'm in a bit of a dilemma, really. I am currently based up in Liverpool, where I have 2 years left on my training program before I fully qualify. However, I'm currently renting out my current apartment. I'm essentially in a dilemma whether or not to buy a property to live in for the next 2 years, just because after the 2 years, I'm not sure where I could be. I could be based anywhere from Scotland all the way down to London. However, I've calculated that if I carry on renting for the next 2 years, I'll probably lose about £10,000 roughly in rent. I have enough money to put down for a deposit, but given the fact that I am not a homeowner, it might make it a bit difficult for me to go ahead and go into a buy-to-let mortgage. So if I was to buy, I'd have to go down a residential mortgage, live in it for 2 years, probably rent it out, and if I decided to move. However, none of the houses I find are particularly to my liking. I'm still fairly young. I'm 27 going up to 28. I'm not quite ready to, live in a house by myself or with a partner or whatnot. So yeah, I appreciate it. It's quite a unique situation, but any advice that you can give me, I would really appreciate. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that question. It is a tricky one. So if we just look at your own situation to start with and take investment out of it, then you say that you're going to lose 10k from renting for the next 2 years. Now, I'd question whether that's strictly true, because you're probably just looking at the rent that you're going to pay. But you have to bear in mind that if you owned a place and you had a mortgage, then you'd have the interest element of those mortgage payments, which would be the majority of it in the early years, and you'd have all the costs associated with buying that home, so stamp duty, for example. So actually, over a couple of years, if you don't know where you're going to be, if investment was out of the picture, I would say that renting was probably the sensible thing to do. It just doesn't make any sense to buy somewhere, have all that hassle, all those costs, and then potentially have to sell it and move in a couple of years anyway. But there is the investment angle as well. So what you could do, of course, is find somewhere that you're happy to live, but also would work as an investment property. So you could live there for a couple of years, then either get consent to let or switch it to a buy-to-let mortgage and then rent it out. You can move on and rent somewhere else. That still leaves you renting in the next place you move on to, but at least you've got some of those costs covered by the rent that's coming in from your first property. The only drawback with doing that really is that you've got to find somewhere that serves two purposes. You've got to find somewhere that you want to live and also will work as an investment. Now, generally speaking, that's something that I advise against. I think you need to find an investment that works as an investment and find a home that works as a home. And if you try to do both, you're inevitably going to start compromising somewhere and you'll end up with an investment that's less good than you would have wanted and somewhere to live that you're not as happy with as you could have been. So in general, I prefer to separate those two out. However, in your case, that might be something that makes sense. What I think it all hinges on is this mortgage aspect. So you correctly identified that not being a homeowner makes it difficult for you to raise a buy-to-let mortgage. The key word there is difficult, not impossible. There have been times in the past when it has been pretty much impossible because the mortgage market has been a lot smaller than it is at the moment. There haven't been so many products out there. At the moment, it's still not easy, but it probably can be done. It depends to an extent on you, but it sounds like you're employed, you've got a good job, you've got an income, so it's probably going to be possible. So as a starting point, the first thing to do, I would say, is to speak to a mortgage broker and find out for sure if you'd be able to get a buy-to-let mortgage without being a homeowner yourself. If you can, then that's brilliant. That gives you so many options. It means that you could carry on renting and you could get a buy-to-let anywhere you like. If not, then maybe that's something that you have to think about. Do you try to combine your home and a future investment, or do you just hold off on the investing for a while until you're more settled? So I hope that's helpful. And you said it's a unique situation, but actually we hear from quite a lot of people who are in situations like this. So thank you for sending in that question, because hopefully the question and the answer will be helpful for lots of people listening. All right, that is us done for another week. Thank you to our intrepid questioners for sending those in, and thank you to you for listening. If you've got a question of your own, you know how to send it in. Call 013 828 0035 and we'll look forward to answering that. Otherwise, we will see you on Thursday for the Property Podcast. See you then. Bye-bye.